So, you probably clicked on this video because you are looking for a way to make more space for yourself to exist unapologetically. You don't want to judge yourself anymore or let others judge you and make you go back to your little shell. I'm talking about this little comfort zone where you don't let people know the real you. You are not honest with people because honesty gets people to judge you, or honesty gets you in trouble. Or you wear a mask around yourself because every experience you had where you finally opened up to someone, you got hurt. And then you realized there is no space for you to exist. Am I making any sense to you? If you relate to this, I'm going to help you today. By the end of this video, hopefully, if you listen to me carefully, I'm sure that you're finally gonna start making space for yourself to exist. And you're not gonna need anyone else to make space for you. You're not gonna let others' judgment of you or people not understanding you get in the way of you being you. And real quick, if you're my regular screenwriter, filmmaker, artist audience, making space for yourself to unapologetically exist and be yourself is gonna help you create and write from a place of authenticity and express yourself more genuinely, write stories that touch people. So stay with me during this one. So recently I started therapy again. I had therapy almost all my life, but since the COVID lockdown, things kind of went downhill. I couldn't find a therapist that understood my needs or fit my goals until 2 weeks ago. Last week, after my second session, I was talking to a friend and I told them I feel like the therapist is making space for me to finally exist unapologetically, and she makes me realize that there's a lot of judgment in the world. Not only do we judge others, but also ourselves, and we let the world around us shape the world inside us. So when we grow up in unsafe places, emotionally or physically, we create an unsafe space within ourselves. And I realized that I need to make space for myself within me. That's a safe space where I can go back to whenever I feel down. So that's what I'm gonna share with you guys today. Step 1 is gonna be create mental and physical space. Let's talk about the mental space first. We live in a world that's always on social media, work, family, endless to-do lists, the economy, fake people, judgmental friends, non-genuine friends or family members, etc. It's so easy to get overwhelmed and feel like there is no room for you, for your real self. So I want you to take a moment and disconnect from all that noise. Literally unplug for a while, as they say. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, let your mind clear out the clutter. Sometimes when I'm working for all day, over 12 plus hours, my body gets so exhausted that it makes me unplug. Like, I don't even think about unplugging or calming down. I suddenly just crash on my bed and close my eyes. Then I fall asleep because I pushed myself over my limit. Don't let that happen. I'm slowly learning that I shouldn't let that happen. I have to unplug myself. The moment I feel exhausted, just breathe for 10-15 minutes and just let myself be. It really is the most powerful thing you can do. Now for physical space, declutter your environment. I know this is so classic, but your surroundings literally reflect your state of mind. If your space is chaotic, it's harder to find peace within yourself. So I try to organize my space. But because my workspace is literally my living room, it also gets cluttered the next day. And I honestly can't keep up. I'm being very honest here. I'm not gonna tell you declutter and stay zero clutter. That can't happen. Okay, you're living in a house. You are living in there. or you're working in there, you're existing in there, you are creating in there. Of course it's gonna get messy. But what I do is now I take a day, not a day off, of course. Now I take like 1 hour or 30 minutes or sometimes 2 hours out of my week to just like organize, just put everything I took out back to their places so I can start creating something new the next day. And while decluttering, I usually put like a heart chakra healing music or something like 432 hertz, I think, type of melody to feel like, to just let myself be, hear the music and just declutter, put things back, rather than making it a whole thing. Like I can easily be like, oh, I have to do this now. But instead of that, I make it a bit more mindful experience. I take a breather, take very deep breaths, and I listen to a healing music while I declutter. And I don't do this like every day. I do it like once a week. On a good week. Another thing I noticed, maybe you can just have one spot that you keep decluttered. And when you feel too overwhelmed, you basically come back to that place to take a breather and calm down. Like, this is my spot. This gets cluttered sometimes, yes, but I try to keep it decluttered. So that spot that you choose can be your sacred space where you allow yourself to fully exist and just be. Step 2 is going to be practice mindfulness. I know mindfulness can sound like a cliche, but my approach is a bit different. I have this love and hate relationship with sitting with my emotions, especially those that feel uncomfortable. Instead of reaching for something to numb that discomfort, I try to practice mindfulness and focus on that feeling and see where it comes from, or just where it is in general. I approach it with curiosity. For me, this is also about journaling. When I'm struggling with something, I write about it. That's just how I've always processed my emotions. And when a feeling or emotion feels stuck in your body, there's research backing this physical manifestation of negative or stuck emotions in our bodies. It's known as somatic healing. I've done exercises and yoga specifically for somatic healing, and I can tell you that those stuck feelings really come as aches or physical discomfort in your body, or being too exhausted. My back hurts, for example, my jaw hurts, probably because I clench it a lot, and I'm starting to notice that. I'm not fully in control of it yet, but when I notice my jaw clenched, I focus on that feeling. Like, I close my eyes and I just breathe through it. I use this simple breathwork, actually. Inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, and I do it at least 3 times, 3 deep breaths. This really helps me become more aware of my inner world and what's going on. Like, why am I clenching my jaw? Oh, it's because I was thinking of my to-do list. It's because I was overwhelmed by everything I had to do. Let's actually do it for a second. Close your eyes with me. I really feel like 2 voices fighting in me. One is like, you couldn't get enough shit done today. And the other part of me is like, you did enough, like, calm down. Everything happens in its own time. And they're like really fighting. And I realize it comes off as back pain. So, like, notice these things. Step 3 is gonna be set boundaries. Setting boundaries is very important for making space for yourself. It really is not selfish to say no to things that drain your energy or make you feel small. Let go of this need to please everyone around you. Like, oh, I don't want to look bad. Fuck that, seriously. I've done that all my life, and I'm sure so many of you have done that all your life. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. For example, a family member is obviously treating me badly, but I have to seem good anyways and treat them nice because I'm gonna be the bigger person, or I don't want to start a conflict. At this point, the block button is becoming my best friend. Those types of people don't have access to me. My mental health and overall well-being is much more important to me than anyone else's thoughts or judgments about me. That's what I realized, honestly. Life is really, really short. Like, don't let that get into your head and affect your well-being. This boundary can also manifest itself as a feeling, like as you become more mindful, you might realize that you don't feel very good after spending time on social media. For example, I realized that, and it's not jealousy, like, oh, other people's lives are better than mine. Not really. I follow people who I actually like, and they educate me, and like spiritual and, you know, self-development, self-improvement. It makes me happy. But I think what happens is I overload myself with a lot of information, and then I get addicted to learning. Like, is that a thing? I don't know. Let me know if anyone relates to that. But I get overwhelmed by information after hours and hours of struggling. Like, I love learning. I can go on and on and on. Oh, there was this true crime case, for example. There was a new scientific research. Oh, on the news, like, this just happened. I love learning. So I can't get enough, but then I get overloaded. So it's crazy, like, I get burnt out. I don't know if anyone relates to that, but I'm trying to put boundary between me and information. I need space. I need to slow down. And for screenwriters or filmmakers, this might mean setting boundaries around your own writing time, your own brainstorming or creating time. Let people know when you're not to be disturbed. I do that, actually. Like, my hours of work changes every day, but I'm like, hey, don't disturb me for the next 3 hours. So you can have the freedom to write without distractions, and the more you protect your space, the more authentic your work will become. Step 4 is gonna be embrace yourself. Wow, I realized I was looking there. It's crazy. I'm gonna try to look there. So step 4 is embrace yourself. And I mean that as embrace yourself with the good and the bad, with your shadow self and with your light self. Make space for your true self, true feelings to shine throughout your creative work or throughout a conversation with a friend. Whatever it is, a conversation is also a creation, right? It's a creative work. It involves more than one person, and you guys create the topic and the flow of the whole thing. When you give yourself permission to exist as you are, without judging yourself, you open the door to authenticity. Your writing, your art, whatever you create, will start to reflect the real you. And that's when you are finally free. You finally feel free. Don't be afraid to write stories that resonate with your journey and your own experiences, your own truth. I'm trying. Okay, accent coaching. Your own truth. This is what makes your work unique, in my opinion. When you create from a place of authenticity, your audience will actually feel that. For example, if you read all my stories, you can realize I'm processing some things with them. Yeah, it can be like in the sci-fi world, but it's almost like it's modern. It's like, for example, about losing a dad, which is a universal experience. So I'm trying to connect with the audience from that space. Yes, some mermaids exist or whatever, but I'm having daddy issues. That's so funny, but that's how I can explain it in the simplest way. Once you open that door and let yourself just be, you find things that connect with your audience rather than trying to like control it and push some stuff out. Like, sometimes we talk about writing a screenplay with my co-writer, and sometimes we're like, it's almost like pushing a baby. Like, what is going on? And some other time it was flowing. People will see themselves in your work, and that's how you make an impact as an artist. That's how you become authentic, genuine, and relatable, which is the kind of art that becomes truly successful these days. Isn't that right? So I have a few things I want to share with you guys that really, really helped me. Definitely the breath work and meditation and healing music really, really helps. At first, it might feel a bit like stupid. Okay, it might feel stupid, but once you actually do breathe, things are so much better. It's almost like you come back to your body and you realize, I am a person. I am here right now sitting. Because sometimes we do get lost in so many thoughts, so many people's feelings, especially if you empathize a lot, which I do. And my mom sometimes says, like, can you empathize with yourself instead of others all the time? And I agree. Yeah, I wish, but it's almost like I carry that energy or weight of other people's emotions with me all the time. So stopping and coming back to my body, it changed my life so much. Another thing is, I had a book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I know everybody has been talking about this on YouTube. I know it, okay, if you watch other YouTube channels. But, okay, the object isn't to make art, it's to be in that wonderful state which makes art inevitable. So that book is an incredible resource if you want to dive into being an artist, creating an art, and how it's a part of you no matter who you are. Another tool that I use, which I should have mentioned in the meditation part, but this app is called Aura app. I used it for a month actually, and it was such a great experience. There are a lot of helpful meditations or just audios you can listen to, and I love that they have a 3-minute or 5-minute option, because sometimes I can only take 3 minutes between work or 5 minutes. So I just lie down wherever I find, like on a bed, on the floor, whatever it is, and I start playing it. Sometimes I feel sad, for example, then it'll give me happy affirmations or grateful affirmations. I really, really love that app. You guys, if you want to check it out, I'll put a screenshot of it right there. And finally, as a screenwriter, consider journaling as a part of your daily routine. Write about your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, write about anything. This is a safe space where you can explore who you are without judgment. And that really helped me. Over time, you'll start to see how making space for yourself on the page actually translates into your screenplays. That's what makes it so relatable and authentic. You don't have to journal every day, like don't make it a whole thing. I used to journal every day, but then I started writing whenever I feel like it, and it actually helps a lot more. Sometimes I realize I didn't journal for over a week, and that's how I know that I've been away from my body too. But it's okay. I realize that it's a process. I lose myself and then I find myself back to my body, and then I lose myself again. I learn something and then I bring it back. That's what we have to remember. It's okay to lose yourself sometimes, as long as you find your way back. Life is about exploration. After all, we get lost in experiences, we learn from them, and then we return to ourselves with new insights. And I feel like throughout this process, journaling, meditation, and just being present in your body and sitting with the feelings and thoughts is really important. Nothing is ever final, and that's what makes life worth living. You might get lost in something for a while, dive deeper into it, and then swim back to your center. Another experience will come along and you might lose yourself again, or perhaps you will stay present the whole time, maybe. Who knows? Let things happen. But what matters is that you always return to your safe space to reflect on everything you are learning and how you are growing. I think that's my final conclusion about life at this point in time. And remember, making space for yourself isn't a one-time event. It has to be continuous. The more you do it, the more you'll find you can live, create, and express yourself with confidence and authenticity. It's almost like you feel comfortable in your own body, and being yourself becomes more comfortable. I feel like abuse really takes us out of our bodies a lot, so you just have to find yourself back there. I hope that helps. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and share it with someone who you think needs to hear this right now. Comment yellow heart down below. Let me know you watched the whole video. I just want to see who did it. Let's grow this community of creators who embrace who they truly are. If you're new here, you were listening to a Screenwriter's Secret Diary podcast, by the way, where I release an episode every Wednesday about working in Hollywood, screenwriting, and life in general, like this episode, which was a whole thing, but it was helpful, I hope. Thank you for being here, and remember to make space for yourself this week. See you next time.